Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Be Free podcast. Before we dive in, if you love this podcast, I would please love if you could share it to your stories so that your friends can catch and follow along. Like, rate, review, all those good things just to help spread the word. I absolutely love creating these for you. Obviously, it's pretty time consuming. But I love that you guys can have access to free support on a whole host of different areas, and subjects that can really, really help. And today is a really powerful conversation. It's something that I have been teaching in my meditation classes this week, and it is looking at forgiveness as a spiritual practice. Now, whether you think I'm really great at forgiving, forgive and forget, or whether you're the kind of person who harbors a grudge and is like, no, they need to pay for what they've done. Um, you know, you will all get something from this episode. I'm sure that you will find inspiring. I'm going to be sharing a number of different practices from different cultures, practices that I'm teaching this week, and also why would we want to practice forgiveness. So I'm going to share all of those things. Um, so a long time ago, I think it was like a few years ago, I had a podcast interview and I had a lady called Christina come in and teach in my membership. And she taught about the art of forgiveness. And for her, forgiveness was a daily practice. And I remember her saying that and me thinking, holy moly, like, how can you weave in these practices day to day? But for her, um, it was a really, really simple process that she did every single day to help support her energetically. And when I chatted to her about it, one of the things she said was, all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. And that really hit me. And I just found that concept so interesting. All forgiveness is self-forgiveness. So that really is the crux of why it is a spiritual process. And I'll come on to that in a moment. But there is an opportunity for us to practice forgiveness every day. You might not think it, but there absolutely is. Whether that is for the way we speak to ourselves, the way we treat ourselves, whether that is for the way we've snapped at our child, or, maybe somebody's been snotty with you and sent you a horrible email, or like cut up in front of you whilst you were driving, or um, maybe you're just annoyed at the weather. You're like, like, and then you're like, well, why am I angry at the weather? Like, let's forgive myself for being angry at the weather. Um, and then there's big things such as lying and abuse. And this is something that really fascinates me, and demonstrates just how powerful a practice this is when we go on to look at victims and their forgiveness of perpetrators, and why that is part of the process for overcoming challenges. So I use forgiveness practices a lot with my clients, with my coaching clients, and I'll come on to some of the things that supported them with. But as a practice, it has the potential to change your life. So I found a quote online when I was preparing this podcast from a lady who had experienced sexual abuse as a child. And what she said was, I didn't want to carry around what he'd done to me anymore. I moved on and forgave him. The forgiveness was for me, not for him. And that to me demonstrates why all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. It is not a case of forgive and forget. I say to my clients all the time, forgiveness is not about condoning bad behavior, bad situations. Forgiveness is about changing and transforming the energy. Now, probably around, well, my husband and I have been together now, what? I can't actually remember. We've been married 16 years. And we've been together 18 years. And I remember back in the day, like I had challenges, just coming into, he had two small children, coming into that, the family, relationships with his ex-partner. And now we like, we have a really good relationship, and we can, we could hang out together with the kids and like, be civilized adults. But back then there was like some challenging things, and that really, I dialed up the practices that we are going to be speaking about in here, and that really transmuted and changed the energy between us. Um, and yeah, when I was thinking about my clients, I'll dive into that as well. I have had clients who have used this to support them in overcoming the betrayal of affairs from their partner, relationships at work. I have helped clients, been supportive for clients to overcome bullying, um, overcoming addiction and the shame and guilt associated with addiction. Um, and so many more. When we think about forgiveness and the energy of the emotions that we carry, typically the emotions may be around anger, resentment, guilt, fear, shame. Um, and as energetic vibrational beings, you'll know that I'm hugely passionate about working with our vibration. It's kind of the crux of everything I do now. When we're looking at the frequency of those emotions, when we're looking at guilt or shame, you're looking at like 20 to 30 hertz as the frequency of those emotions. Anger and fear, like 100 to 150. So you can see, but that's when you're thinking about it, when you're thinking about anger, it is like that more heightened energy. Acceptance is 350. So we're getting to that space of more neutrality, 350. And when we move to the position of love, the frequency is 500. Now, we do not want to be carrying those lower vibe frequencies, which challenge our immune system, challenge our mental health, can lead to, when we're suppressing emotions such as anger, shame, guilt, it can lead to chronic health conditions. Anyone who's experienced trauma and is carrying those really dense, challenging emotions will know that it can lead on to physical, mental, emotional things. So we really want to look at this and transmute and transform that energy. Now, um, I'm going to link up some things in the show notes so that you can dive deeper into some of these processes. But I'm just going to tell you some of the ones that I share with my clients and that I have practiced. So the first one I'm going to share with you is the Ho'oponopono prayer. Now, Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian practice. It's a Hawaiian prayer, and it's a forgiveness practice. It's specifically designed to support the practice of forgiveness. They classify it as like a cleansing and cleaning practice, so which makes total sense if you think about transmutation of difficult emotions. Um, and the literal transformation means to make right. And that's what we're doing when we're looking at forgiveness. As I said, it's not forgive and, you know, forgive and forget even. It's like forgive to transmute, okay? So when we are practicing the Ho'oponopono prayer, it follows, there's 4 lines that we practice. And what we say is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you repeat these words whilst focusing on that, what it is that you want to forgive. Now, I would kind of can't get the word, what I caveat, I would caveat that by saying you can simply just say that prayer and have really profound effects without thinking about what it is that you need to transmute. And I'm going to give an example of a case study, which is really quite well known in the field of Ho'oponopono, by a doctor called Dr. Hugh Len. And Dr. Hugh Len purposely sat in prayer, practicing the Ho'oponopono prayer for people who were criminally insane. They were in a like a high secure psych unit, and he sent prayer, the Ho'oponopono prayer, to them. So this is what I'm saying. He didn't know, like he didn't have to get in there with him. he sent it to that particular place and practiced it over and over again. And there were these radical healings that took place. Now, things like this do super, super fascinate me, and I'll give some other examples of things like this. But yeah, by simply practicing this prayer, using the repetition, he managed to completely transform people that had been classified as criminally insane. Now, a little bit about the Ho'oponopono prayer and why we say those phrases. So, the I'm sorry part at the beginning is really that plea for forgiveness, that kind of, the remorse, I am, yeah, sorry, like I'm remorseful for what happened. The please forgive me is that taking responsibility. Um, and the thank you is that gratitude to the universe, to the whole. And the I love you is that unconditional love. So you can see why these four parts, I'll go through them again. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So we can send that prayer out, we can repeat it over and over to support ourselves. Now, the next one I'm going to introduce you to, and this is the one that I used all those years ago, and it's the one I use like to this day. I taught it in meditation class last night to a new student, and it moved her to tears. And this is a really common outcome of this practice. And it surprises people over and over again. I had one lady who used to come to my meditation classes, and she came for her mental health, and she was very much not into kind of the spiritual side of things, more the scientific practice of meditation. And she practiced this meditation, and I'll go through it with you in a moment. And what happened to her was she had some issues at work and wasn't getting on with a particular colleague. And she practiced this meditation. They never spoke to each other, they never communicated with each other. It was like a really hostile environment. And when she went into work the next day, this colleague smiled at her and said hello, and then was like actually trying to interact. And she was like, holy moly. Like she came back to meditation class the next week and she was like, what did you do? Like, and I was like, no, no, no. Like you did it. You transmuted and transformed that energy. So loving kindness meditation. It's similar to the Ho'oponopono practice, I guess, in that we are repeating phrases. So in meditation, we call that mantra. And the loving kindness is a Buddhist practice, metta bhavana, which means to cultivate compassion. So we're really building up that space of compassion and transforming energy. When we're going through the loving kindness meditation, we start that by sending love and compassion to ourselves. Um, so that we can begin to be that clear channel that we can send it to others. So you go through, again, these set phrases, and we start by sending it to ourselves, then to someone we love, then to someone neutral. So that could be that colleague, or that could be, like I was joking last night, like your every delivery driver or your Amazon delivery driver. So someone neutral, and then to someone you maybe have a bit of conflict with. So what I would say is sometimes that conflict person can show up in other areas too. That person you have conflict with could also be the person you love. That person you have conflict with maybe is the neutral person, right? Maybe the Amazon driver keeps driving over your grass. I don't know, right? But I always say when you're doing this practice, go with whoever pops into your head, unless, of course, you're trying to support yourself with a specific situation, and you can break this down. So I'm going to go through just very, very quickly. I'm going to share links to my YouTube version of this and also to my Insight Timer. So if you want to listen along and practice this, just see how your energy changes with regards to situation, you can give it a try. So the phrases for this one, you start with, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be safe, may I be peaceful, and at ease. So you start by saying that for yourself, then we do it for the person you love. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. And I like to do it 3 times for each person. Do it for the neutral person, the person you've conflict with. And then I like to pull everybody back together, do one final round, and then maybe bring in, like, I don't know, everyone in your street or the community or a cause of something that's going on in the world that you feel like you don't have control over. So, that could be war or any kind of injustice, and you can send that, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be safe to that particular cause. So what I would say about this is, as I mentioned, it supported my client in the relationships with her colleague. It's really helpful you can send it to the past. Okay, so if you had something traumatic happen in the past and you no longer speak to that person, you can't have that conversation. Maybe the person is not even on this planet, like Earth plane anymore. You can send it backwards to that situation. I've used it for a friend who was passing over in hospital, and I sent her this meditation as an act of love. Oh, I feel emotional. Got her picture beside me. As an act of love and support for her passing when you can't be there with that person. So really powerful. Can use it distantly if you can't be with someone, or as I say, if there's conflict and you can't have a civilized conversation, you can use it in that way. Other forms of forgiveness practices could be, kind of talk therapy, working through with someone. I also have a cord cutting and forgiveness meditation. So that can be really powerful in transmuting the energy between the relationship or the situation, and just allowing you to cut the cords of negativity that hold you kind of running over that process. That cord cutting meditation is on Insight Timer Premium. It's not, so if you have that, incredible, check out my account and you'll be able to access that from there. I think it's the only meditation I've actually got an Insight Timer Premium. All of the other ones you can access for free. And then I came across, as I was researching, just, kind of deepening my awareness of these practices, a really incredible space from Berkeley University called the Greater Good in Action. And in there, they shared these 9 steps to forgiveness. So I'm just going to run through them with you, like, super quick. But I'll hook them up in the show notes as well, so you maybe want to go and have a little look. And these steps have been used by, there's some examples there of, let me have a little look. What did it say there? Iranian women with marital problems, they've used these practices. Teachers in Sierra Leone, Christian workers. So there's, like, multiple people have used this process, but it's a really nice, simple process. So there's 9 steps. The first one being to reflect on your experience. So just noticing how you feel. And nowadays we are so aware of how important it is to feel our feelings as they arise, not to suppress them, because then that's when they, come up and bite us in the arse later. So, what about this situation was okay or not okay? Then make the commitments to yourself. This is number 2, to work towards forgiveness. Remember that forgiveness is a way to feel better. 3, understand that forgiveness does not mean trying to make up with the person who harmed you or excusing their actions. 4, trying to shift your perspective on what happened. Notice the distress in this moment that's coming from the hurt feelings. This is something I just jumping in here, that I teach my clients from a mental perspective, that going over and over a situation only causes you to feel that pain again, right? So this is why it's important to process the emotions. I had someone message me this morning who offered to be there for me with a situation, and I did a lot of processing yesterday on this situation. So I went back to them and I said, thank you so much. I really appreciate that offer. but I've worked through that. I've done the forgiveness work yesterday, and I no longer want to put energy in that direction. So that I can move forward from it, because the more we tell the same story, go over the same thing, the more we feel that like in our bodies again. Okay, so when you feel upset about past harm, try calming exercises. So again, taking a walk, doing mindfulness. That's what I did yesterday. I took myself for a walk to calm down. Um, Number 6 here, remember that while you can hope and work hard for health, love, friendship, prosperity, some things like other people's feelings and actions are not in your control. And I think that is why forgiveness is that radical act of self-love. Um, because yeah, we can't control other people's actions. Try not to dwell on the hurt you experienced. We just spoke about that, redirecting your energy into positive change. 8, look for the love, beauty, and kindness around you. So that's why a gratitude practice can be so powerful. And 9, remind yourself that you made the brave choice to forgive. So I love those 9 steps. They were created by Dr. Fred Luskin of Stanford University. So really, really helpful process. So a little bit of a deep one, and I honor all my meditation students this week who are diving deep with me into the act of forgiveness, because I know it's not easy. So before we close off, if you are available to do this, just place your hands on your chest, take a couple of breaths, just breathing in and out, and just repeating in your mind, I love and forgive myself. I love and forgive myself. I love and forgive myself. Breathing in, exhaling, release. So thank you for joining me today. Let me know if this supports you. As I say, do share with a loved one. Let me know that you're listening. I love hearing you guys' takeaways or sharing on socials and seeing you guys enjoying this. So yeah, give it a like, give it a rate, 5-star, obviously. No, only joking. You rate it however you wish to rate it. Yeah, I will look forward to connecting with you all next week. I am sending you all so much love from my heart to yours, wishing you a beautiful rest of week. And until then, bye bye, my loves.